Well, aloha, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to PWT Talks NXT. I'm your host, I'm Kelly Wells. Had all kinds of problems afterwards. After the show ended, I was totally on time. Everything was cool, and then I had lots of little home issues, little business to take care of. As it relates to the cats, the word business means what you think it does, and then my camera was just like the site was like, you don't have a camera, and I assure you I do. So here I am. I'm still standing up, still got the broken booty, and I don't know how long that's going to last. Nate and I are both getting over being sick, I hope. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
as I was saying to him online, I am full of steroids and prednisone, and the second they wear off, it ain't so great. But I'm gonna make it through because I need to talk about Tony D'Angelo and this thrilling storyline that, guys, I just hate it so much. But anyway, we will get there. Okay, so I've been all over the country. I've been in LA. I've been in Dallas in the last 2 weeks. I do this show last week? I think I actually did. Oh yeah,
You
you
did.
didn't.
I
Um,
didn't. It was the first time I didn't do the show in a very long time.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was odd. So yeah, we did a thing. Had our best Dallas show ever. Made an amount of money that I would call appalling. Every time I think that this whole business I do is about to take a dive, it doesn't. So I'm in a good mood despite the sickness. Let's talk main event. Zaruka versus Ren QCC versus Fatal Influence. Your winners in 12-21, Zaruka. Now, this was kind of for me, this was they really telegraphed this one with the scenes leading up to it throughout the show between Solruka and Zarya and like the hill they had to climb, and Zarya saying, "I'm hurt, so if we lose, I'm not going to be the reason." Which is, I see what her logic is, because if the person who's 100% can't pull it off, then they don't deserve to win. Whatever. I dug this, but I thought that they would win. I think it's odd that they switched the Knockouts Championship in the last few days. I don't know why they switched it from the Inspiration to the Elegance brand right as they were getting ready for this match. And then they had the concierge doing his stupid overacting outside the ring. Yeah, it was this match didn't suck, and it was a triple threat tag, which means I'm predestined to hate it. But I didn't hate it because they did some spots where everybody was involved, and it was just Bonzo Gonzo, and like a lot was happening and nothing was really going on. But they slowed this down enough too, and they actually told kind of a story here. And Zarya again gets the pin in this big spot, not just Solruka doing this thing. I do think that the same reason I thought they were going to win, the hill to climb, is going to be the reason that they lose when they actually have the championship match. But that's a conversation for another time. So Zaruka, there's still a thing, Nate, and they're still the champs. So Nate Lindberg, who are you, and what did you think about the main event?
I was honestly surprised this was the main event. I mean, I guess it's kind of weird promoting another company's title in your main event. I don't know. It just seemed a little weird for me. Like I wasn't when this match started, I looked at the time and I'm like, oh, all right. I guess this is it. That they might have mentioned it was the main event, but that was at least when I
One
noticed it.
time early on, Vic did mention it was the main event, and I even wrote down like, "Huh, that is." But
Yeah.
I know that they're covering their own championships, but they didn't have any one match that was like a really obvious main event.
No, exactly. So I mean, I guess this is the match that had the most implication or whatever. So fine it for being in the main event spot. And I mean that said, I think the women in the match certainly deserve, having a main event spot. So there is that. Not sure why TNA did swap the Knockouts championships from Inspiration to the Elegance brand. I feel like they've basically just been playing hot potatoes with those titles for God, maybe 6, 8 months now. So I think it was the Inspiration that held them, and then it was the Elegance brand, and then the Inspiration won them back and forth. If I'm not
And with
mistaken.
this,
So
and with this leading to WWE TV, you got to wonder if they're like, should we be promoting the Inspiration this much when we went on from them and we don't want people to like try to bring them back. I got way into my head about reasons they might not want the Inspiration to be in this spot.
yeah,
But I don't know. I doubt we ever get to know that answer.
yeah, and I mean it's not like we haven't had the Inspiration back on NXT TV. You know, they've shown up a handful of times. So uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That said, Zaruka versus Elegance brand. The Elegance brand doesn't do a whole heck of a lot for me, to be honest with you. So, you know, I mean, they're not bad, but they're just not. I guess they're not my cup of tea. So I'm not necessarily looking forward to the match, but then again, I haven't really tuned into TNA a whole heck of a lot over the last month or so. But as far as this match went, I mean, like you said, there were certainly parts of the match where it was a little bit chaotic and everybody's in there and getting involved. But for a 6-person tag team match, or I guess a triple threat tag team match with 6 people in it, it wasn't super egregious. Again, Kendall Gray continues to impress. I feel like she was a standout here. So definitely want to kind of call that out when I see it. Um, I, it's funny because for the reasons that you thought Zaruka might win, I thought they might lose. Because I thought maybe they'd play into the shoulder or something along those lines. And maybe we continue down that path of will they break up? Won't they break up? Um, I feel like that's going to be just kind of sprinkled in throughout the rest of their run, but we'll see what happens there. Yeah, don't have a whole heck of a lot more to say than that. It kind of is what it is.
Let's go to our chat. Pile driver Pete says, I heard Inspiration is finished with TNA. Might be wrong. I haven't heard that, but I also am only 1 week into learning that Uriah Connors is a Finley brother, which I should have known like 2 years ago.
Oh, you didn't know that?
I didn't until last week's podcast, and I can't believe I didn't because I love the Finley family, and those brothers look a lot alike. Goodfella adds, is there room for the Inspiration on the main roster? Yes, there always was. I understand that they had a lot of talent coming up, but when you've got a team that's an actual team and you've got a tag team division, allegedly, and one of that team is really, really funny. I just think that there's got to be something that you can do with them. I really do think that these two ended up being underutilized, even though they were utilized on the main roster, and I absolutely think that that they should do stuff like this. Goodfella also said a little bit above that. Oh, that is not the one. Zaruka, I think, will finally split in the Rumble match. The reason I don't think that'll happen is because it's an NXT TV storyline, and I don't think they'll pay an NXT TV storyline out on the Royal Rumble when a lot of people who watch Raw don't watch NXT, and a lot of people who watch Royal Rumble don't watch Raw. They're just tuning in for a couple of the big four, and I don't think that'll happen there as a result. Unless they really, really hammer home the storyline as they're bringing it up. For me, it's starting to look like the reason for them to break up is that Sol Ruca will be called up and Zarya will not. But I just think that these two and what they have and the fact that they are really good friends who sometimes get really pissed at each other is extremely relatable. There should be more teams that do this, and I've really liked the ride, and I don't need them to split up, but them being at each other's throats because they both love their team, they have a lot of love for each other. I think that's fine. So that's kind of where I am with that. So, okay, I think that essentially covers that. I guess I will say about Kendall Gray, because there's always so much said about her and how good she is. And she is, but I'm still waiting. I'm still not convinced that we have a personality going on. Like, we have a person, but I just don't know if I see much besides this is a good wrestler who wants to win matches. And that's cool. That's the most perfect start you can ask for. But we don't have a lot other than that. And maybe there's something about her that the hook just isn't grabbing me. Like, I know how good she is. Like, I have zero doubt in how good she is between the ropes. But I think there's very much a reason she's with Ren, and I hope that they understand that Kendall might not be able to do this without Ren right now and maintain any semblance of being interesting, no matter how good she is in the ring. But I also just love Ren. So that might cloud my judgment as well. Let's go to Elio Lefleur versus Ethan Page. This was your opener. This for the North American Championship, and Elio getting the rare spot where that Ethan Page also got, which is having a championship match in your first match on the brand. Elio is he's as small as Jack Gallagher, and he's as pale as Jack Gallagher. He's otherwise, under a mask, and hopefully is better like as a dude, because Gallagher was who he was. And
I was gonna say, hopefully he's a better human being.
Yeah, that one. That's the one that hurt me most. I think we've talked about that because that man had me fooled. But yeah, Elio Lafleur. Man, I hope they can figure out what he needs to be on the mic, and how they can get him there, because in the ring he is dynamite. I really liked what he did with Ethan Page. This was my favorite match of the show. I actually thought there was a chance of this changing hands, even though with Ethan Page, we should probably just start with, okay, this man is never losing this championship, because he's held it for a very long time. And Ethan Page did cheat to win. 10 minutes, 16 seconds. Hooked the tights after, I don't know, whatever move he did. And Ricky Saints passed him by as Ricky Saints was stepping in on commentary. By the way, I absolutely adored Ricky Saints in this episode. Heel is what that man is meant to be. He looks it, he talks it, he is it, and really dug what he did. Ethan, of course, does defend here, but Elio's got he's got a beef. And later on, he just thanked Ava for the opportunity, and she suggested there will be more of him, which is obvious. And the crowd was very into him already. I mean, this guy's going to be a career underdog, because not a big dude, but he's very rangy. He looks like a high school athlete, where he's kind of cut, but he's just not filled out very much.
Yeah, actually, now that you say that,
looks like maybe almost like a cross country runner who's really, really serious about it and has no body fat, but also is not like loaded with muscle. Really dug this match and what they were able to do with each other. Ethan is just really good in these matches where he is dominant from a size perspective, but the other guy is just constantly surprising him. And he's really good. Pissed off Ethan Page is the most fun Ethan Page to watch. That's why we dig his act. So 10 minutes, 16 seconds, Page over Lafleur. I think that this was a little bit of a star-making match, Nate.
I would not disagree with anything that you said. I think this is also my favorite match of the night. I was really looking forward to seeing how Elio Lafleur was going to, I guess, adapt to a WWE style, obviously coming from AAA and all of that. Now, I haven't seen any of his matches or anything like that before, but it can be a little bit of a different style. So I was wondering if we'd see any, I don't know if ring rust is the right word. I don't think it is, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. But I think, man, this guy is awesome. Like you said, the language barrier might be a little tough to get by, but uh, that's that's really, I think, the only barrier that he might have is and he can speak English, right? Yeah, he can speak English. Yeah. So actually that's not even that much of
Yeah,
a
the
much of a
accent is just
deal.
really, really thick, is all. So,
Hey,
you
so
know,
was Andres, so you know.
that's true.
Yeah, yeah, and he's one of the most famous wrestlers ever. So Ilya LaFleur is going to be as famous as Andre the Giant. You heard it here first.
Both
Um,
Frenchmen, both totally the same in terms of wrestling style. Like,
yes,
yeah, I think
100%.
it's going to work out.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Andre was definitely a high flying luchador. Um, but no, like I really really liked what this guy brought to the table. You know, and I think he had a great opponent to help showcase what he can do in Ethan Page. Um, and like you said, there were definitely a few moments in this match where I'm like, okay, maybe Ethan is gonna lose this. You know, I kind of a debuting match. It's been a while since you know we've seen somebody get like that Santino or Carlito treatment, where in their first match they win a title. Um, so you kind of obviously kickstart somebody's career that way. They could have done it, and I think Ethan Page probably would have been fine. Maybe have him pick the title back up in a month or two. Plus, he already has AAA title, you know, mixed tag team titles with Chelsea, so he's still got that he can play off of. But that said, you know, I think we do. We just got to kind of we're we've got to be resigned to the fact, which I'm totally fine with, that Ethan's going to be holding on to that title for a long time. At least I really hope so. Really hope so. Um, yeah, not much more to say here. Just other than praising Elio LaFleur, and really hoping that this, you know, opens up some doors for him to come back and whether it be challenge again for this title or heck, I wouldn't even mind them throwing him in the speed division because I think he'd fit right in there with his style. You know, maybe bring a little bit of flair and stuff to the speed division. So yeah.
All right, I'm going to take a page out of the company's book, and I'm gonna pretend that Tony D'Angelo is a big deal and something that can happen. So yeah, he was all over the show today. They started with Ava talking to bored-looking security and saying that Tony D'Angelo is here, and we should be aware of that and make sure that we're ready if he tries to attack. And then he just showed up, and these guys missed him, so I assume they were all fired. He did show up after both qualifying matches, attacked both guys. He was. I wrote some deeply naughty words about what I thought about Tony D on here. Okay, Dark State
You? I don't believe
cut,
it.
cut a promo on Tony D'Angelo because they're feuding it with him, but isn't everybody kind of? And also, Dark State was cutting the promo on Miles Bourne because the Bourne Lennox qualifier next week is the only one of the three qualifiers that has any doubt in it. So that is a thing that will, I mean, I guess they could do a Hendry loss and have something happen that. But yeah, and he got handcuffed, and this was booed, even though his like nothing was coming of his appearances. He just beat guys up, and he stares in a way that's supposed to look intense, but just looks bored. And he's just there, and he's just a guy. And I feel like what's coming out of him is this is all I got left. I've tried to be a main eventer, and I'm just not. I mean, this is last ditch. Sorry, I don't see why effort is still being diverted here. I like that there's a new look. But man, when Blake Howard was trying to get a word from him, I really, really wanted a word from him. Just anything. Just I'm begging for a reason to be interested in Tony D, and I'm still not. So I don't know. Before I get into the matches that he ended up being there afterward, I guess Tell me what I'm missing on Tony D'Angelo.
So are you saying that they should just forget about Tony D?
I would not have said that, but I am saying that they should. Yes.
Ah, oh God, I couldn't help it. Anyway, if we have any viewers left, um, no, I mean to be honest, I'm not saying like I love what they're doing with Tony D'Angelo, like by any stretch of imagination, but excuse me, but I like it better than what they were doing with Tony D'Angelo and the family, um, uh, especially towards the end there. Um, it's it's interesting in the fact that I just don't know what his end game is here. I kind of wish they'd give us a little bit more about why he is acting the way he's acting and interrupting these matches. With Dark State, I can understand because Dark State they put the D'Angelo family out of their misery, but uh, why is he interfering with all these other matches and stuff? Unless he's just there to be a menace. I don't know. Um, yeah, those are both my thoughts on Tony D'Angelo. Nothing more, nothing less, really. He's just kind of there.
5 years ago, he beat Tommaso Ciampa, like to set him up as a big thing, and he has not sniffed the main roster. Like, has he appeared on the main roster at all? Like, even a quick appearance?
I want to say once. Let me look it up, but I don't know.
But Von Wagner beat Kyle O'Reilly, and I just had to search my head a second to remember Von Wagner's name. So there you go. They in the chat were saying if Tony D calls lawyer Mark Sterling, I'll be interested. And then he said Tony D better not call Luca Crucifino. Luca Crucifino is my second favorite member of that group. Now, actually, Stax is pretty. I do like Stax. I mean, what he's doing now is kind of silly, but silly is fine. For Stax.
Would Stax bring back the Heritage Cup for Christ's sakes? Just saying.
Oh, I know. And Adriana is. I know she's not a great shakes between the ropes, but the character seemed like it had legs. So, but what does this character do if she's not in that storyline? I don't know. Like in a way, they're supposed to be dead, but they're apparently not. They're still around. I don't know, man. Let's go to qualifying. So Ricky Saints was already in. He went and he sat in on these matches. Shiloh Hill versus Josh Briggs was the first of the two. I thought that this was pretty decent also. Briggs is in that kind of no man's land where he's getting TV time, but they just aren't committing to him. I feel like I honestly think Josh Briggs is Baron Corbin with a higher ceiling, but maybe they're just like, well, we tried a Baron Corbin and it didn't work. And maybe they're out there seeing the same thing with Josh Briggs. I don't know. But Briggs was a perfectly good heel foil for Shiloh Hill, whose stock is very high. They really dig Shiloh. This crowd has eaten him up, just like I would hope. He's weird enough that a guy like me is like destined to love him. But yeah, he's really getting the crowd behind him as well. He won with a neck breaker that was just a neck breaker, to the point where I was actually a little surprised that it put down Briggs, but that's what it was. Shiloh, so he is in to the next round. And on one hand, sad that Shiloh didn't say anything this week, but I don't want him to blow all his content too quickly. Just make absence make the heart grow fonder there. But Shiloh Hill almost certainly will get a talk segment next week to promote the ladder match, because he is already in it and will be watching along with Ricky Saints next week, who is trying to get into this ladder match. So Hill over Briggs in 10:40, Nate.
I absolutely love everything they're doing with Shiloh Hill right now. A bit of a shame that we didn't get a talking segment from him this week, but that's fine. That's fine. Like you said, we'll probably get one next week. But I love what they're doing with him. I think that the ceiling is super, super high ceiling for this kid. Um, like I said, I think Josh Briggs was probably a good foil for him tonight. You're just going to obviously go out there, give him a good match. I mean, I wouldn't say he's a veteran. Yeah, I guess I kind of would by this point because I mean he's been not only in the NXT system for a while, but he was on the Indies for quite a bit. So, Josh Briggs, give Shiloh Hill, bring him to a good match in the ring and whatnot. And I think they had some good chemistry together to kind of get Shiloh Hill over a little bit more. Um, yeah, Briggs. I, I like him. I like him as a performer and whatnot. He's never super like wowed me or anything like that, but he's always going to give you a good match. So, the position that he's in, kind of like you said, that Baron Corbin type position, that Miz level position, it's certainly not a bad place to be. So, we'll see kind of if that is the position that he really molds into, and if he does even make it up to the main roster. Is that what he's going to be? But by the same token, and I feel like what as I just said, for Shiloh Hill, the sky's the limit for him. I feel like that Baron Corbin level character might be like the floor for Shiloh Hill. If things don't go his way or go according to plan, not in an ideal world, I could see him kind of slotting into that type of a role as well. Kind of being a popular talent, whether it's in a heel role or a face role, and kind of helping other talent get over. But one way or another, I'm really hoping we see Shiloh Hill on our TVs for a long time.
Pile Driver Pete says, put Briggs and Tony in a tag team. That's one option. For me, the perfect partner for Tony D'Angelo is Stax. And the perfect one for Josh Briggs is Brooks Jensen. I honestly thought that these guys were both in their best roles in those particular tag teams. And I get that the other guys were lesser in terms of high ceiling as singles, so they wanted to focus on Briggs and D'Angelo. But I think that having those partners was bringing out the best in them, just like Bret Hart was always bringing out the best in Jim Neidhart, just to take one extreme example of an incredible wrestler and a nice power wrestler. Goodfella says, Briggs seemed better in the ring than Shiloh to me. Shiloh's energy is infectious, but still not hitting for me. Of course he's going to be better in the ring than Shiloh right now. It's just a pure question of reps at this point. I think that Shiloh can and will surpass him. Let's say can for now. But Briggs has been doing this much, much longer than Shiloh has. The kid is still a kid. Okay. The other one of these was Shawn Legacy versus Eli Knight. Don't blink, folks. They did a lot of stuff in this match. 10 minutes and 52 seconds. We knew that this match, Eli was going to win in his loss, that Shawn Legacy was going to take the next step up. I think probably anybody who's paying attention would have predicted this. The crowd did chant both these guys because these are two likable underdogs, really, really breaking everything out for a TV match. Shawn Legacy is not going to win this ladder match, but he's going to do some really, really cool stuff in it. 10 minutes, 52 seconds, Shawn Legacy over Eli Knight.
No, like you said, this is kind of a blink and you couldn't miss it match. Now, again, I'm not super familiar with both of these guys. What I've seen is what I've seen of them on NXT, but certainly like what I saw at both. I think both of them, huge potential. Eli Knight in AEW?
No, Kevin Knight is in AEW currently, and he's Kevin Knight has done a lot of tours in New Japan, teamed up with Kushida in New Japan, actually, as a tag team called, it's something about Jet Setters. International Jet Setters, something like that.
Okay, he was in AEW.
Well, who wasn't? I guess there
Yeah,
you
right.
go.
Okay, I had to look it up because like something was telling me that I've seen him wrestle in AEW. Not that I watch a ton of AEW, but every once in a while, a couple friends get together or whatever. Um, but um, God, I forget what I was going to say now that I got sidetracked with AEW. Um, but yeah, not a whole heck of a lot to say, to be honest with you here. Um, like I said, I think they had a good match. Sean Legacy, I feel like he's kind of at that cut. Like they want him to be a breakout guy. Like he always seems to be put in these positions to get a spotlight. Um, and uh, generally he loses those big matches, at least here in NXT. So kind of glad to see him get a win here. Um, you know, uh, and see. It should be interesting to see him in that match. But does he have any chance of winning the NXT championship in that ladder match? Absolutely not. He's probably going to be one of the bump guys. But that's okay because every ladder match needs one of those or a couple of those.
It seems like they do spend a lot of time looking for the next Sami Zayn, and it's really hard to be Sami Zayn. Probably the closest they've found is Javon Evans. I think that he is the closest to a Sami Zayn that they've found. But yeah, they've got a few different guys that could be that right now. Elio actually could be one of those guys. But I for me, that is, it seems like that would be the conversation that they're having. We need somebody like Sami Zayn that the crowd is way, way into, that is going to lose 60% of the time, and still people aren't going to notice because they win just the right amount of big matches.
60% of the time, he loses every time.
There you go. Jada Parker. Nate, she's really cool. She's real likable. She's going full baby face, which she has not done before. She has done tweener. She has done bad baby face, badass baby face. She is doing full on with the crowd baby face stuff here, and it is charming. I'm liking it, and she's got the right opponent in Blake Monroe, and Blake kept it short up on the perch, trying to be above it all and get her spotlight. But this was all about Jada, and she framed the same concepts on the mic in such a different way than I've heard before. I just really, really liked the specific language of it. And I'm a massive, massive fan of Jada, and I cannot wait to see where this one takes her. I think that it's been overlong, her journey, but if they are retooling her and just getting her 100% before they actually make that call, then I'm fine with that. I don't want too many people called up at once that nobody can get over. I just think that that's, yeah, Goodfella, as I'm speaking, says Blake and Jada should be a good trilogy. And, I hadn't thought of that yet, but they easily could do that. Jada wins, Blake wins, Jada wins, or Blake Jada. I think either way is fine. Or Blake wins if Jada's going up and Blake's not. Whatever. Don't overthink it yet. I think it's going to be just fine. But before I get to the other match and Keanu, which is a thing also, Jada Parker and Blake Monroe, they got the crossover segment, and I thought it was kind of fire.
I would agree. I think it was very fire. I think this was probably one of the best outings that Jada Parker's had on the mic to date. And that's saying something because I think she's pretty much always been good on the mic. There might have been some shaky stuff earlier, if I'm like early in her career, if remembering
she's always
correctly.
been cool, so she's always gotten away with a little bit of it.
Yeah,
Cool's always been there, but she's better all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like this tonight, she spoke with conviction. She spoke from the heart. It was almost like they just went out there and went, go here, get these points across, but just go. And that really spoke to me in this segment. It felt authentic, authenticity. That is really I think that is like the key here. for what she was saying. 'Cause, I mean, a lot of what she was saying was true. She's been there. She's been getting these. She gets these opportunities. They don't necessarily work out. She gets overlooked for other opportunities and whatnot, but she's there. It's her time. And I think everything that she was saying, like, you agree with her 100%. The crowd is clearly behind her with those Miss Parker chants. So I really do. I think this is her time to shine. And I think it's a good idea to lean into being that baby face, because like maybe if you asked me that, like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 months ago, I would have said no. Let her continue being that like badass face where almost the anti-hero, kind of Stone Cold Steve Austin-esque. He's a heel, but everybody loves him. Kind of do something like that. But I think at this point with Jada, she's been off TV for a little while. Showed up here and there, but I mean, for the most part, she's really kind of been out of sight, out of mind. You bring her back into the fold like this, people love her. Absence makes the heart grow fonder and all of that. And she's very much eliciting, those babyface reactions. So why not lean into it? Blake Monroe is the perfect person for her to kind of get over as that true babyface, because Blake Monroe is so easy to hate and dislike, because she's just so good at being a heel and what she does. I think this should be a good series of matches. Whether they just do the one, whether they do a trilogy, or I was going to say somewhere in between, which would be two, which wouldn't make sense, but they could. I don't know. Weirder things have happened. At the end of the day, I think they're going to have a good match, and tell a good story. So hopefully, I'm really hoping that this leads to some bigger and better for Jada Parker. I'd love to see her get a championship, around her waist, whether it be the North American title or the NXT championship, before she goes up to the main roster. However, with the frequency that they've been bringing people to the main roster, it's only been like once a year, twice a year. She's certainly ready to go up to main roster. If they were to just pluck her out right now and bring her up there, she'd be fine. But we do talk a lot about people going up, and I feel like we might just need to reframe that a little bit. Not just with Jada, just kind of in general. We may just kind of need to reframe that, because like we talk about it all the time, and it takes a little while for everybody to eventually make it up, or like Kelly likes to point out, Wesley, you don't, and you make it to AEW.
Yeah, and then you get there, and within like a couple of days, lose one of your partners. Something he tweeted quite a while ago that was not so bright to tweet, but
yeah, I didn't see that.
But it's still following him around. Yeah, Trey Miguel.
Oh, that. Yeah. Okay, I didn't realize that came up again.
Yeah, it did. A call was made from above Tony, who tried to hire him 5 years ago, and for them, it's still a thing. Okay, Chase U versus the Vanity Project. I would say swipe right, but they just seem to be calling them the Vanity Project right now. They
did call them swipe right when they're just talking about Baylor and Ricky.
I know that they have been, but this episode they mostly just called them Vanity Project and announced the winners as the Vanity Project. I think swipe right is a great name because it is so annoying. And I just love that about it. And I think it's even more annoying than Vanity Project, which is intentionally annoying and works on that level. This was the only short form match of the show. Vanity Project goes over in 5:35. I liked this. They had their big spots, but they also slowed this down and had even a bit of a face in peril spot with Uriah Connors, who, by the way, is a Finley. Nate, I don't know if you knew that. So anyway, later on in the show, Vanity Project's hanging out. The two tag guys have their arms around some girls. Robert Stone says next week, Jackson Drake's going to face Joe Hendry. Of course, Joe Hendry's music plays, and they pan back over. He appears.
mean, you said it, so I had to.
Smokes has his arm around Joe Hendry, and I am not ashamed to say I freaking loved it. This was so stupid. It would be at home in a Looney Tunes cartoon where they'd pan over and that something like that would happen. Uh, the fact that he would not notice the difference in height or girth or whatever is something you can get away with Ricky Smokes because he's supposed to be a dope. And then as Joe Hendry is talking, Ricky Smokes looks in an electrical trunk to see if the girl is there, and then just like goes to the back of the scene and is continuing to look for her, and ends up being the star of the scene, honestly, because he comes back and goes, "Did I kiss Joe Hendry? I kissed her. Was I kissing Joe Hendry?" Um, Maybe I should hate this, but I loved it,
Oh God, yeah.
and I just thought that this was amazing. Ricky's when you do something this stupid, when you're Ricky Smokes, you have to be committed to the material or else it'll fall flat. And he is so committed. I just so like what the Vanity Project is doing, and they're finding ways to make this work with Joe also. So Vanity Project over Chase U in a good match, although Chase U could really use a win or at least some kind of change. Maybe that'll happen next week with the Chase getting absolutely obliterated by Carver match. And yeah, and then the scene and the announcement of, okay, you might as well talk about any of them. Hendry Drake, Chase Carver, Bourne Lennox. There you go.
So yeah, as far as the match went, I thought the match was good. 5:35, like you said, it was it was quick. But it and you when they announced Chase University as the opponents for the Vanity Project, this was Vanity Project's debut match really as NXT wrestlers. They've had matches as Evolve wrestlers, but this is the first time as signed NXT talent. You knew they were going to win just because of the opponents. Chase University does not really win, so there's that. But I think they did what they needed to do in that 5:35, and yeah. So not much to really say about the match. It was a good match, perfectly fine and serviceable. I loved that backstage segment with Joe Hendry, like Ricky Smokes. Holy crap! Like, and what's really cool, at least for me, is I shout out to New England Pro Wrestling Academy here in North Andover, Massachusetts, where he's from. One of the owners. I went to high school with one of the owners, guy Scott Guerin. He's one of the guys that trained Ricky Smokes, and like I see it all over Facebook. Scott's posting about how proud he is of Ricky, and just some really cool like training photos of Ricky and whatever. It's really cool to just see that, and I've seen Ricky Smokes quite a bit on the indies, up in this area. So it's really cool to see the one guy on these indie shows that really stood out. I mean, I say the one guy, but one of the guys that really, really would stand out on these chaotic wrestling shows, on these Rad Pro wrestling shows. And then now here he is on the show that I cover here in NXT, and he's just killing it. Brand new, just showing up, and he's so, I want to just say dumb and stupid, but in the best way possible, in that bro, kind of high school senior, doesn't really know much type of way, dumb jock. That's where I was. That was what I was looking for.
He could be Flash Thompson in the Spider-Man movies.
Oh God, easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like I'm really looking forward to seeing where his career goes, because I've already been following his this guy's career for a handful of years now here in the New England indie scene. So yeah, thumbs up to that. What was it? Dion Lennox, who's he facing next week?
Miles Bourne.
That should be a good match. Is it for the ladder match?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of hoping it's Miles Bourne. Dion Lennox, I don't know. again, Dark State just really doesn't do a whole heck of a lot for me. I guess it's all going to depend on if they need a heel in the match or not. Um, but for me, I feel like Miles Bourne has the bigger upside, so I'd really like to see him wind up in that match. Um, and what was the other match you mentioned?
Chase Carver.
Oh, right, that coming up. Andre Chase going to get his ass kicked.
What do you think?
That's about
Over
it.
2 minutes and 35 seconds? Over or under?
Oof. I'm going to say under.
Hmm. I'm thinking it'll be like 305, but
Yeah.
yeah, I could see the under also.
Like, and to be honest with you, that's kind of my original thought, was about like 3 minutes or so, but I'm like, I could see unders. I am going to go under.
Goodfellas says Flash Thompson deep cut. I mean, he goes all the way back to 1963, which I know because I am a massive Spider-Man fan. I don't know how much I have talked about this, but I am reading a lot of Spider-Man comics right now. Since November, I've probably read about 60. Have just ramped up in trying to read. In my stupid head, I'm just like, I got to read them all before I die. All the Spider-Man comics, and so I'm trying to read them all, and that is ridiculous. So I'm seeing a lot of Flash Thompson, reading early '60s stuff, and also reading like mid '10s stuff, and where he's got the Venom suit under control. Guys, it's so much fun, and I am done boring you with it. Okay. Let's talk about Keanu. I wrote Keanu is naughty. That is what I wrote. So they showed some stuff that probably a semi-worked shoot with him and Booker T on LFG, and then a very much worked shoot with him and backstage, somebody trying to get interviewed, and then they had another worked shoot with Blake Howard where he just would not talk, and he said the Marshawn Lynch thing. I'm only here because I'm only here so I don't get fired or whatever it was. And then wouldn't answer any of his dumbass questions. So they are going full ungovernable with Keanu Carver, bringing some of that attitude into the act. Keanu is really, really good between the ring, and he's got such a cool, terrifying look. And I think that will serve him well. Very interested to see what his ceiling ends up being in the brand. I would give him a non-zero chance of winning the championship, although I think it's going to be Miles Bourne. But after this week of seeing Ricky Saints as a heel, now I want it to be Ricky Saints. I want heel Ricky Saints on top, and then Saints and Page as a two-man power trip. They've never used that particular wording, I don't believe, in wrestling, two-man power trip. So I think that they could make that work. I know, Nate. I know. I'm playing. Okay. I am engaging in a little bit of tomfoolery. So there you go. Keanu Reeves. Nope, not Reeves. Keanu Carver. He's a naughty man, Nate.
That he is. So far he does nothing for me. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's because this is the third LFG winner now in the last 3 months. Like
he didn't win. He was just on it. He's an Evolve. He was the first Evolve.
Okay. Wait a minute. No, he was part of.
No, he didn't win the championship.
And he was part of the breakout a couple years back. But like, I don't know. So far, he's not really doing anything for me. Yes, good in the ring, all of that, but the character, like, I'm gonna just say it. He just sounds like a whiny bitch. I don't want to be here. Why am I here? Like, I don't know. If I'm your boss, I'm gonna be like, I don't know. Why are you here? Get the hell out. There's a ton of other people that would love to be sitting in your spot right now. That's how I'm interpreting this character right now, and I don't necessarily like it. Maybe that'll change, as they show me a little bit more, but really, like, he showed up. I think it was last week when he showed up and just kind of decimated everybody. And all I could think of is, oh, hey, just like Jasper Troy did, or just like Shiloh Hill keeps doing. Um, yeah, didn't really do a whole lot for me. So yeah, that's what I get to say about Keanu Carver so
And
far.
he does do a lot for me, but this, I think, demonstrates what happens when somebody gets promoted and is in front of somebody who has not seen them yet. Because I have the benefit, and sometimes it's a crutch when they didn't have a good run on Evolve, of having seen all this really good Keanu Carver stuff. And Nate hasn't. So here we go. Pile
Yeah,
Driver Pete says, I want to see him in the ring. And I have. And he's like, he's not going to knock your socks off or like create new ground, but he does some good power stuff and he is believably dominant. So there's that. But it's going to be hard to be a cool, believably dominant guy in the wake of the exit of Obafemi, who is the coolest and most dominant person, I don't know, in the world, I guess. So there you go. I should probably open our email, assuming that that
there is.
Kevin Catani has
He
asked us
did.
a thing. Wouldn't it be cool if I had the right email open already?
I did have it open and I
Salutations,
closed it.
my little jars of mayonnaise. Pardon the late email. I hope you're all well. I have two questions for you. Number one, what do you make of bringing in a new star just to have him beaten in his debut? I feel like good match or no, that divines him down initially. I don't agree with that, actually. So I think that that's actually a really valuable thing you can do with a guy, especially when the guy is Elio Lefleur and you know that he is going to be an underdog and that's how he's going to make his money. So you're establishing right away that he's got a hill to climb. He thanks for the opportunity. He's like, hey, I know that this is going to be always uphill for me. And but Ava believes in him even more than he does. I love this stuff when somebody has a big match and loses their first one. That does not bother me at all. And it gives them something to overcome without that thing being a championship, although this time there is a championship involved. Um, I love that. Number two, I'm sure you've discussed this, but what is the ceiling on Unhinged Tony D? I'm not convinced that this interaction has any more legs than Mob Boss Tony D. Can you call
Yeah,
this unhinged? It's just, I mean, he doesn't look unhinged. He looks bored. Um, he's just
I
guy
mean,
Tony D. I got nothing for what this is. I'm so bored by it. I don't think
we've
it
seen
deserves any adjective.
we've seen much more like physical and aggressive stuff happen in the NXT parking lot.
Yeah.
So,
That's all for now. Hopefully I made it in time. Go VIP and listen to 8YB for 2 more weeks, folks. Office hours are now over. The professor, Kevin P. Catani, PhD. I know we covered the match, but Nate, on just the concept of somebody losing in their debut.
yeah. I mean, I think kind of rule of thumb. Yeah, you probably don't want to have somebody lose in their debut because it may say something like, oh, okay, this person isn't somebody you want to watch because they just lost. They don't really matter, yada yada. But I think with somebody like Elio LaFleur, it's okay, and especially going up against somebody like Ethan Page, who is going to lie, cheat, and steal to hold on to his championship, as we saw him do. So in this case, I think it's okay. It's not something you want to do all the time, but there are certainly times where it could work, and I don't see any problem with it here. And it doesn't sound like he's going to be like an NXT fixture. It sounds like he's probably going to show up here and there, kind of like we've seen with like Mr. Iguana and other AAA talent. So I think you can get away with it there. Maybe if he was going to be a full-time NXT talent, different story. But as things stand now, totally fine by me.
Pile Driver Pete in the chat says Tony is going to get in the ladder match somehow and win it out all. Yeah, I know that is possible. It would not seem to make any sense based on what happened this week and the fact that they had him taken out by security and like dudes in riot gear. So apparently they thought maybe he'd, I guess guns are a possibility given his former affiliations. But yeah, my short list of guys who can win that championship in 2 weeks is Saints, Bourne, and D'Angelo. And I know he's not announced for it, but I'm not writing him off just because of that. And Goodfellas says, in terms of guys losing their first match, he says, that's an old school thought, in my opinion. Keith Lee lost in his debut, just something they do often. Yeah, I don't think that has to be a big deal. I think that those of us who are old, and I'm certainly getting there, we remember a time where guys never lost in their debuts unless they were genuine jobbers. So they would not talk about something being someone's debut if that guy was going to lose. But that is something that I think they've seen. They can tell stories a different way. It's just not something that bothers me. Okay. Lola Vice and Thea Hale, they had a little talk with Ava, and Ava said, hey, you're both going to get your chance versus Izzy in a triple threat match. And then the only other thing we didn't talk about was the calling, sitting in their little trio in the dark, as they always do. And it's funny that Shawn Spears used to be the one that they shot as the star, and now it is Izzy Dame, and she looks so much more like a star than Shawn ever did. So I just think that Izzy continues to look more and sound more like a star all the time. And I'm amazed at what they've pulled out of the ashes of her, because it just seemed like after the experiment with Kiana James, it was just so dead in the water for Izzy. And I just think there's really something there that now. So Lola, Thea, Izzy in a match where everybody has 4 letters in both their first and last names in a stunning coincidence. These are the kind of things I noticed, folks. My mind is goofy. But yeah, that is a triple threat that is going to happen. So anything on that?
Not a whole heck of a lot, really. I mean, triple threat match should be, should be good. I don't think Izzy's going to lose the title, to be honest. I think she'll probably wind up holding on to it. The title's been hot shot a little bit around, albeit accidentally, but I think they'd like to keep it where it's going to be. And they've put enough shine on Izzy over the last handful of months that I think the title probably will be hanging out there for a little while. What was the other thing? The triple threat, and what was the other one?
Just the calling segment and how they shoot it now with Izzy obviously being the center of attention.
And honestly, I think that makes the most sense. Izzy's the most, like, she's the most interesting thing about the calling at this point. She makes, she's the one talk, and I feel like they've kind of been pushing her into that de facto leader role. So yeah, it works for me.
I can't believe Nico Vance is still around. Also, these 3 women, 2 syllables in the first name, 1 in the last. All of the stuff, it's total symmetry. Of course, 2 syllables in 1 name, 1 in the last. That's done because it's easy to chant. That's why you go to places and they're chanting Kelly Wells all the time, because my name is just that much fun to chant. So that, I believe, is our show. Was there anything else on the show that you wanted to cover? I think we got it all, but
I think that's it. Yeah,
I believe that be it. So yeah, haven't been able to do a show with Nate in a few weeks because I was gone and then he was, but we did a thing. So glad we did, folks. We are going to get, I'm very excited, even though this week was a fine show. I feel like we've got the promise of a couple of good ones to come. We've got a lot to be psyched for in the qualifying matches, and this ladder match has some real doubt on it. I really don't know where they're going to go. So psyched for that, and psyched for kind of a new era in NXT in general, because so much talent recently making the trip north. So I'm Kelly Wells. Find me at other Kelly Wells on Blue Sky, at Spooky Milk, in almost every other place. Nate, who are you?
Check the things I do out at NateLindberg.com.
All right, folks. We will see you in 7.